I appreciate you coming. I was going, no, it's going to come. And you came. The checks are in the mail. I'm first going to give you the exact things that we're going to be talking about for show, not tell. Because you're going to be implementing them into the stories I tell, see how they work or don't work, and also examples in your own manuscripts of where you can either improve in an area or where you say, hey, you know, I did pretty good there. We're going to be covering in show, not tell. Characterization. Now, I use the utensils of the kitchen. I use the fork for characterization and the fork components. Hook, or inciting incident, description, motivation, body language, and then I move to the spoon, 5 senses, and to the knife, action. Now, I speak in pretty much a monotone, so just try to stay awake.
Oh, yeah,
The first story I'm going to present is called Stupid Wad. Litter bugs drive me crazy. I'm walking up a trail. The birds are chirping. And as the birds are chirping, the leaves are swaying in the air. There is the beautiful scent of nice spring leaves blossoming on the trees. I'm walking along, and all of a sudden my foot, 4 feet away from a trash can, and some stupid litterer spits their gum on the ground. But I shall be a good Samaritan. And I'll take that gum and throw it in the trash. I bend down, I get a couple of leaves, I push those leaves against the gum, I toss the gum to the trash can underhand, but don't realize until too late that a piece of gum is stuck to my finger. The wad stretches, 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 almost gets to the trash can, ricochets back, and whack, hits me in the back of the head. Oh, great. Now, I have to pull hair and gum out of my hair. By the time I'm done, that wad of gum and hair is the size of a quarter. This time, I'm not going to do underhand. I'm going to do over instead of toss it to the trash can. As I throw it to the trash can, I already know I'm in trouble. I find a piece of wad stuck to my finger. It stretches, 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 almost makes it to the trash can, ricochets back, and starts circling me like a rope. Please release me, let me go. I have no choice but to bite myself free. Jump, ding, jump, ding, jump, ding. Strawberry dirt, yum. I've learned my lesson. And this time, I'm going to throw that gum overhand. There can be no possibility of it coming back to me. But as I throw that wad, I already know I'm in trouble. My hand is attached to that wad, and me and the gum go toward the trash can. Not the trash can! There's banana peels in the trash can! Oh, we slimed! Toward the trash can we go. I twist, I turn, over the trash can we go. Now, on this trail, there are 2 ravines. On the right side of the ravine is a beautiful log cabin. On the left side of the ravine is a beautiful shimmering lake. I start rolling down that ravine, and as I try to push the gum away from me, it starts collecting branches, leaves, dirt, trash, and me and the wad start growing and growing. And by the time we reach near the bottom of the ravine, yes, it's a close relationship, is the size of a trash can. We slam into the base of that cabin. We go up, up, up into the air. At the top of the trail, there's a beautiful, majestic tree. Slam into the top of the tree and swallow 2 birds. We come down the base of that tree and we swallow squirrels. We slam to the bottom of that tree and the gum swallows 2 bunnies and 5 babies. Leave there and go, rolling down the opposite ravine toward the lake. Not the lake! There's silt in the lake! I'll be slimed! As we're rolling down, size of a trash can grows, grows, grows. Now the size of a car, a bug, and we go into the lake. I push that gum away, and it creates a shimmering, transparent bowl of gum around my body. Fish and water circles me. I have to hold my breath to reach the other side of the lake. We roll, we roll, we roll. I never thought I'd get such a close view of a fishbowl before. I slam against the opposite side of the lake, and at the opposite side of the lake, we go fly, fly, fly into the air. We hit that same tree, whack, and the water balloon pops, and water explodes everywhere. The fish flow down the tree, go down the trail, return back to the lake. The birds, the rabbits, the squirrels, all the things they said, they should have their mouths washed out. As I slam onto the trail, the animals escape. I don't know why, the motivations are for the fish. And as I slam onto the trail, I slowly sit up. I slowly wobble and stand up. That wad of gum is now the size of a beach ball. I get 2 sticks and impale that gum and carry it to the trash can. Kaplunk! Everybody. As I stagger up the trail, behind me, the trash can starts vibrating, it starts shaking, it starts rumbling, and then explodes! And in its place is a gum monster. Napkins for eyes, a half-eaten apple for a nose, and of course the banana peels for a mouth. It's walking toward me. Ah! Ah! And I fall, but it walks past me. And then I realize it's going to look for its master. There's 2 important things I learned that day. 1, no good deed goes unpunished. 2, you better watch how you treat your gum. If your gum becomes a gum monster, it's going to become looking for you. Thank you. Reviewed the principles of show not tell. Do not tell me out loud, but later after the meeting. Tell me where maybe I failed or where I succeeded. You will be invited to tell or to think of how you succeed or in areas you could improve on. And then I'll be inviting the volunteers to give a short example. Now, on the beginning of character, a friend asked me if I didn't make a true dollar bill for Ben Franklin. I just said, I have so many, he's just don't want to lose track. And this story is a characterization illustrated of Ben Franklin. Some mysterious unknown entity. Ben Franklin was the first Postmaster General of the United States Post Office. One of his responsibilities was to determine how long it took to go from point A to point B. And mail was delivered in the tavern, so people would come to the tavern and pick up the mail. There was one day that he was traveling. It was stormy, rain, wind. He was soaked. And he thought, when I reach the tavern, all the good seats are going to be taken. What can I do? He came up with an idea. As he reached the tavern, he got off his horse, and there's a boy assigned to the tavern. Boy, oysters for my horse. What? Oysters for my horse. Yes, sir. He said it so loudly that people in the tavern heard, that guy's horse eats oysters. I've got to see this. As he walked into the tavern, people left the tavern to watch his horse eat oysters. A couple minutes later, they come out, they come back in and say, that guy's horse doesn't like oysters. And they found Ben Franklin, front seat, center, right next to the fire. And that is an example of maybe character. In 1-word increments, what does that story tell us about good old Ben? Clever.
Tricky.
Tricky.
Funny.
Funny.
Thinks outside the box.
Oh, I tell you, he can. Oh, there's some other jokes that he's done later. For some
something I said?
Now, as I tell you, I've talked about imagery with utensils of a kitchen. It also, if I can avoid talking with a fork tongue, that'd be good. Okay, the first component of character is the opening hook. Not the opening hook, excuse me. Yes, the opening hook. And in the opening hook, you want to catch your audience immediately into your story. If you can go ahead, and a lot of times, it may not be with talking heads, or maybe a description. A lot of times, a popular way to start a story is by action, or by creating a problem right off. An opening hook is very important to a story. One of the examples I have in opening hook is my story, Balloon Head. My brother can do 3 things with balloons. He can blow them up, hold them tight, and make them squeal. The second thing my brother can do with balloons is he can blow them up, hold the lips tight, and let it splatter across the room. The third thing my brother can do with balloons is that he can blow them up, hold the lips tight, and make them sing. The opening hook is that, of course, as his younger sister, he has friends over, and I say, I want to play, I want to play. And then the story gets complicated because when I start blowing up a balloon, it's my head that blows up. And I then go through a series of adventures. And that's a story called Balloon Head. I would like to get some examples. If someone can go ahead. Readers, for those of you that volunteered, I knew you didn't have to be cross. Course. And then you wonder why I spell like I do. Who has the story, Endo's Game, Orson Scott Card? Who will read? Who will read? This one?
I'll read, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I've watched through his eyes. I've listened through his ears. I tell you, he's the one.
Thank you. Who will read 1884, George Orwell?
It was a bright cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13.
Thank you. Who will read The Lives of Loki Lamore, Scott Lynch?
Locke Lamore's rule of thumb was this. A good confidence game took 3 months to plan, 3 weeks to rehearse, and 3 seconds to win or lose the victim's trust forever. This time around, he planned to spend those 3 seconds getting strangled.
Thank you. I think that is a great book. You were surprised by these inciting incidents? Are you telling me that the inciting incidences were not expected? Why in the world did you respond that way? None of you guys really squealed. If you're going to squeal, you need to mean it. You need to mean it. Okay. Please bring them incoming back. Please try to aim below the head. Oh. And hopefully you aim better than I do. Okay. For the brain, if you need to change your mind, that brain is a very useful tool. Okay. Now, in my story, An Inconvenient Task, it begins. Son, are you scared? Are you ready to turn off the sun? It's a story about a boy that has to turn off the sun to address climate change. All right. The first, okay, who has the brain? Please, that's the rock, bring it on. I'm ready. Who has the brain and who has the ball? You have the ball, okay? And who has the brain? Incoming. Now, see, I squeal much better than you guys do. So sorry. That's okay. All right. Now, I would like you to spend 1 minute and timer. Are you ready? Da 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 da. Wake that timer up. Okay. I'm going to have you spend a minute and think about your own stories or someone you admire that does well on characterization. On inside incidences or opening hooks. 1 minute. Let me know when you're done.
My book, Don't Crickets Get Sore Throats, is a good one.
Done.
Thank you. I would like one example of character, including the inciting incident or the opening hook. Who has an example I'd like to share? A short example. Very good. Go ahead.
If we try to winter here, we're all going to die.
Ooh.
Good.
Kind of like the when I learned about not winter quarters, but George Washington in his army not having clothes and stuff.
Winter forge.
Thank you. Winter what?
Valley Forge.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. The second fork of character is going to be descriptions. In the story, I have a story called Hitch Hopscotch to the Seven Wonders of the World. And it's a series of adventures. A person has magical chalk. They color in a hopscotch grid, and whatever they color into the grid they can transport the kid into that place of history or that place of the world. And in this case, Seven Wonders of the World. And one of them is to crawl through a tunnel to get to Chichen Itza. And the tunnel opens up to a rainforest. Moist air touched our skin. We could feel the heat. And there was birds. And we could smell this intense aromas of the various foliage and vegetarian as well as mold. Okay? We also have some examples. Who would like to read J.R. Tolkien, The Description of Mordor? Who's the one? Very good.
The gasping pools were choked with ash and falling mud, sickly white and gray, as if the mountains had vomited the filth of their entrails upon the lands about. High mounds of crushed and powdered rock, great cones of earth fire blasted and poison stained, stood like an obscene graveyard in the endless rows, slowly revealed in their reluctant light.
Thank you. Who would like to read The Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern?
I got it.
Okay.
The desserts are always astonishing. Confections deliriously executed in chocolate and butterscotch, berries bursting with creams and liqueurs, figs that drip with honey, sugar blown into curls and flowers. Often diners remark that they are too pretty, too impressive to eat, but they always find a way to manage.
Thank you. All right. And then, who would like to, okay, that was
Night Circus,
thank you.
Aaron Morgan.
Who would like to read who has the paper for Behold the Dreamers? The Big Sleep.
His throat went dry, his palms moistened. Unable to reach for his handkerchief in the packed downtown subway, he wiped both hands on his pants.
Thank you. Timer for 1 minute. Think of where you do well for description, or maybe an area of your book or someone else that does a book where it could be improved. 1 minute. Thank you, timer. Thank you. The third prong of the fork is motivation. Why did Luke Skywalker leave Tatooine?
Because his adopted parents were killed.
Okay. What else?
Search of follow his father.
What's that?
In search of following the ways of his father.
Okay. And also his family, as you say, was dead, and he might become a Jedi. But most of all, he can save a princess. In the music, Sound of Music, Captain Van Trapp leads his family away from Austria. Why?
Nazis.
Bingo. Thank you. In Batman, why does Batman become a vigilante against criminals? Thank you. You guys happen to watch the same movies I do. For 1 minute, think of your motivations of your characters or someone you admire. And go ahead and start a timer. Thank you. Who has an example of a description that you enjoy? A volunteer? One short description? My description and the oh yes, go ahead.
I just did. The man watched his friends and family be burned alive by a tyrant, forever changing him.
Yeah, definitely motivation on the description. Okay, thank you. Now, I don't want to lose the opportunity to use a prop. To be able to do descriptions, you don't want to be vague. A tree lined the street. You want to talk about an oak lined the street. It's dry leaves dropping off the trees. You want to be specific when you give descriptions. All right. Now, thank you. Let's go ahead and move over to the final fork of the third fork. Did we do emotion? Of course we did. Didn't. Okay.
Yep.
The third prong of motivation, of the show not tell, is motivation. Orson Scott Card gave the following advice. You can tell him I used this as an example of his name. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. He said, your character must face their greatest fear. Makes you wonder what Endor's game's greatest fear was. Okay. In my great-grandfather's journal, he went to the southern states. He says, we did this, we did that. It did not have much emotion in it, or he didn't talk about his feelings in his examples. And I kind of would like to have had that. In the musical, Man of La Mancha, think of what the emotion is behind these words. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbreakable sorrow, and to run where the brave dare not go. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. What is Don Quixote's emotion?
He doesn't want to get old.
Okay. And he thinks he's a knight and wants to act with integrity, and even treats a lady with respect. Thank you. He does not want to get old. I can kind of relate to him. Okay. Now, in the movie Volcano, do you know there's volcanoes in Los Angeles? I never knew that until I saw that documentary. And my favorite scene is this guy is in charge of problems in the city. And he's thinking of all these ways to divert the lava so that it doesn't harm anybody as much as it has already, although it's destroying a lot of property. He then learns that the lava is coming straight to the hospital that he told his daughter to go to stay safe. And all of a sudden, it's no longer just a threat to the city. His life, his daughter's life, is in jeopardy. It then takes a sudden twist and amps the ante, because now the tension is built, because he may lose his daughter if he doesn't get the answer done. And that is a very nice thing about that movie. I love it. In the movie, Anne McCaffrey, and yes, this dates me, wrote a series of books called Dragon Rise the Fern. Hey, you know, when something dates me, I gotta get somebody to get a date, right? In her book, she has one book where a very majestic, honorable dragon dies with its rider. And that scene is heart-wrenching. When fans asked her, how could you write a scene like that? She said that she had a favorite horse. And when it died, she tunneled the emotions of the loss of that horse into the death of that dragon. There's two tools. I can't resist using object lessons. There's two tools to the emotions. One is, I'm a little bit country. Yes, I did not get a gig for singing. But if you give a storyteller a mic, it's your fault. Never put a mic in front of a teller. Now, one of the things of voice is word choice. For a soda, Westerners call soda pop. Northerners call it soda. In a grocery cart, Northeast calls it a cart, and Midwest calls it a buggy, and I call it a cart. Some say y'all, some say you guys. Wisconsin and Rhode Island say they drink from a fountain called a bubbler. So that was kind of interesting. Watch out, this horse bucks. In support of voice, tell me what the voice is of these following two musicals. Les Miserables. Yes, that's pronounced precisely and accurately because I didn't take French. What is the voice of the prisoners? Look down, don't look them in the eye. Look down, you're here until you die. What is the voice of these prisoners? Hopeless, despair. Depressed. I don't know why. I agree. In the musical, Annie, what is the voice of this character? The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.
Optimistic.
Yes. Hopeful. And yet, your word choice, the tone of her voice or their voices can help influence the emotions of the stories. Let's go ahead, and the second tool of emotion is internal dialogue. There is a series of books by Wizard Dresden and Jim Butcher. I absolutely love them. They're really great examples of internal dialogue. He goes through angst of the whole thing, I tell you. And so in my story called Fiddlestick Serenade, Norman is a stick insect. And the great ability that he and his family have is that they can make any sound with their limbs by rubbing them together. Now his family is musically inclined. And he wants to take a walk. His mom says, now Norman, you be careful. When you walk out, stay under the bushes, stay under the trees. If the animals and insects of the world see you walking out in the open, they're going to see you an insect and they'll eat you. Yes, Mom. Does that sound like the tone of a boy obedient to his mother's words? He goes walking out. And of course, eventually he walks out from under the bushes and trees. And all of a sudden, a mouse runs up, grabs him, throws him to the ground. Oh no, Mama's right. I'm going to be eaten. can make the sound of something that the mouse is afraid of. The mouse will be too afraid to eat me, and I can escape. What am I afraid of? Birds. I'll make the sound of birds to the tune of Beethoven's Fifth. Tweet, 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 tweet. Tweet, 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 tweet. Tweet, 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 tweet. I think I need a longer table. Just wanted to put that out there. Okay, now put your thinkers on for 1 minute. Think of either the internal dialogue, the voice. How do you have a good example of how you've done emotion well, or someone that you admire that's done emotion well? 1 minute timer, and thank you. The check is in the mail. And we're done. Thank you. Can I get an example of someone that's done well, that feels happy about a description? A volunteer? I'm at emotion, excuse me. See, you guys are caught on top of it. Yes, please.
I've been writing a character recently where it's kind of like pathologically perfectionist depression, and the story is written in third person. So whenever there is a scene where this character is feeling very downtrodden upon himself, the third person prose will start trailing off about how dumb and stupid and horrible, and he should kill himself, he's horrible. And then the character will then jump into his own thoughts and be like, oh gosh, I don't know what's going on here. So I found working actually with the prose, that tool set that you're working with allows you to jump between a lot of different emotions all at once.
Cool.
I like that.
Thank you. Good example. All right. The final fork of character is body language. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they says, well, Melba, you don't seem to be very open to my opinion. Yes, I am. Why did that person say that? What's that?
Crossed arms.
Yes, defense feature. Actually, someone actually told me that and said, you know, body language is very fascinating. I took some courses and still forgot it all. Okay, very good. Now, an example of a story called Bad Habit. Now, in Bad Habit, it begins with, my brother says I'm a tattletale. No, I'm not. But my brother has a terrible habit. He refuses to brush his teeth. Now, he goes through a series of adventures of how not brushing his teeth makes his mouth fouler and fouler. I mean, even the birds fly away. And the final night where he's just he says, Mom, I haven't been able to eat or drink all day. Well, try some spaghetti. He brings his spaghetti to his mouth. The spaghetti jumps off the fork, hops across the table, jumps off the table, and rolls away. Well, take a drink. See if that will do better. Describe this body language.
Restricted.
The cup refuses to go to his mouth. Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, so it really shows it's really bad when the intestines in the cup start complaining. Very good. Okay. Let's go ahead and 1 minute timer.
What's our instruction?
What's that?
What's our instruction for this one?
Oh, to be able to talk about body language and how to use, my apologies. You guys couldn't read my mind? Man, it is on public Wi-Fi. Using the 5 senses in your story. See, and I should have had that question be how to build tension. What in the world is she asking for? Then that would have been appropriate. But yes, the 5 senses, how to implement 5 senses in your manuscript. And timer, can you start over, please? Thank you. Because she messed up.
I know.
But I'm okay. I'm accepting that way. I'll be happy to blame it on somebody else. Because that's what friends are for. Oh, for the camera. There we go. Thank you. I would like one example where someone feels they've done really well on body language. Volunteer? Stephanie?
I feel like Wonder Woman is a good example of body language, of strength. And Eeyore is a good example of cowardless.
She even does the Superman pose.
Yes, I do.
And which is nice, because that Superman pose is to illustrate that. Very good, very good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. We're done with the forks, and we're now moving to the spoon, the 5 senses. The 5 senses: sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch. In the story, Nut Job, it's a story of, and I'm just going to tell you about briefly. He has to be able to pick up a whole bunch of nuts to, because it's to get for the harvest. And he's got to find out a way to connive his friends into helping. And he's inspired by the book of the guy painting the wagon.
Tom Sawyer.
I kept saying the wrong book. Thank you. And he uses that to inspire his friends. And it describes about the tree blowing in the wind, and that the nuts or the pecans are raining down like meteorites, and the shade is shifting around. He's got to figure out how to convince his friends to help him. Thank you. All right. The final process of show not tell is the knife. Who can do that? What was that movie?
Psycho.
Who can do the psycho sound? Okay. Stay away from him. You do it a little bit too well. It's good I'm at a good distance away. Thank you. I use the knife because it gives me a chance to illustrate my sharp wit. Thank you. All right. And in action, you want to have strong verbs, and you also want to have no passive voice. Have you doing something, not something being done to you. I have a real bad problem with this, but because I have that weakness, I use a website called Hemingway.org. It really helps me on my passive voice. Okay, an example of using strong verbs from Tania French novel, In the Woods. Footsteps thumped behind me, and Sweetie streaked past, running like a rugby player, and already pulling out his handcuffs. He grabbed Rosalind by the shoulders, span her around, and slammed her against the wall. An example of action. Now, with all these instruments, of course, you want to put your story, serve it on a plate, a plot, all the details of these descriptions. And there's a perfect movie that did it. I bought this on eBay. I was very excited. I bought me an Iron Man doll, and it was for a really good price. People give me examples of what happened in the movie of Iron Man that developed the plot. A lot of times it was tri-fail cycles. What is some of the things that happened to Iron Man in the first movie?
He gets kidnapped.
Okay, what else?
That happens.
His equipment fails.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, you know, he talks to that machine. If you do that one more time and spray me with the whatever you call it, that anti-propellant, I'm going to donate to the university. Great dialogue. Very great voice. Like the movie Lady Hawk, I talk to God all the time. He didn't mention you. What are some other things with Iron Man, with my excellent doll for good price? What else? Heart conditions. He has heart conditions.
Oh, yeah.
His partner betrays him. All that means stuff. Thank you for participating in and coming to the presentation. It gives me a chance to kind of reorganize all my things in my house. The house is outside. And I just want to thank you for coming. And those are some of the attributes of showing. Oh, where is it? Here's your wall. The story's about this wall. And thank you for coming, and I appreciate your time.